Yo, what's good? So, if you've been paying attention to hip hop in the last year and a half, you already know Drake got absolutely dethroned. But what people don't realize is how far he's actually fallen. And no, I'm not just talking about losing a beef, probably the biggest beef in rap history. And I'm not just talking about losing relevance, losing credibility, losing the culture's respect. And yesterday, May 15th, 2026, he proved it by dropping 3 albums at once: Iceman, Habibti, and Maid of Honor. 43 songs total. And that move alone tells you everything you need to know about where he's at right now. For over a decade, Drake wasn't just a rapper, he was the blueprint. From 2009 to 2023, this man dominated. Take Care, One Dance, Hotline Bling, God's Plan, and then he dropped CLB, 2-3 years ago? That was a hit. Every album went multi-plat. Every feature is a hit. And he had the infrastructure, OVO sound, his label, and his, star of production team that he gets on every album. He had the cultural moment every summer. Streaming was exploding and Drake was the king of it. He'd accumulated more than 28 billion streams on Spotify alone, making him one of the most streamed artists of all time. He wasn't just a musician. He was a brand, a lifestyle. He moved culture. Everybody wanted a feature on his songs, and everybody wanted to work with him. And obviously that's for good reason. He was the biggest rapper alive. That's the version of Drake we need to remember, because what comes next makes no sense without understanding how untouchable he was. As most people know, in late 2023 and early 2024, something shifted. Kendrick Lamar started moving. Now, Drake and Kendrick had been circling each other since 2013, when Kendrick dropped the Control verse that called out Drake and half the industry. But Drake had dismissed it. He said Kendrick's music was challenging, but lacked mass appeal. He said Kendrick didn't make party music. And for a decade, it felt like Drake was right. He was bigger, he was richer, and he was winning. But Kendrick wasn't going away. He was just waiting. In March 2024, things got real. Kendrick contributed to a song called Like That off Future and Metro Boomin's album We Don't Trust You. And he came out swinging at Drake directly. He said there was no big three, there was only big me. He said Drake was getting carried by features and samples, which I think my fault. It was subtle, but it was a direct shot, and Drake heard it. What happened next was unprecedented. In late April 2024, Kendrick dropped Euphoria, a 6-minute diss track where he attacked Drake on every front. His ghostwriting, his parenting, his dependence on features, and his cultural impact. The title was even a shot, referencing the HBO show Drake produces. It was aggressive, personal, and different from anything Kendrick had ever done before. Drake tried to respond. On May 3rd, he dropped Family Matters, where he attacked Kendrick's relationship with his fiancée, Whitney Alford, made allegations about infidelity, and tried to paint Kendrick as hypocritical. But here's the thing. While Drake was making it personal, Kendrick was making it lyrical. Over the next 2 weeks, Kendrick dropped 3 more tracks: 616 in LA, Meet the Grams, and then Not Like Us. And with each one, the landscape shifted. Not Like Us became the turning point though. And on that track, Kendrick made allegations that went beyond rap beef. He was attacking Drake's character in a way that resonated with the culture. The song caught fire. It was everywhere. Song of the Summer was on TikTok, Instagram, and people were dissecting every bar of those 3 songs. Here's where it gets bad for Drake though. The numbers proved it. Kendrick's back catalog saw a 49% increase in streams following the beef. Drake's catalog dropped by 5%. And in July 2024, Kendrick surpassed Drake in monthly Spotify listeners for the first time. Drake had been untouchable on streaming platforms for over a decade. Suddenly, he wasn't. But it gets worse. In November 2024, Drake filed a legal lawsuit against his own label, UMG. The label that basically made him. He accused them of knowingly promoting Not Like Us, despite knowing the song contained false and defamatory allegations about him. He specifically said the song was designed to suggest he was a predator. He wanted the track removed from streaming platforms. What a pussy, bro. Now think about what that means, though. Drake went to court against the institution that built his empire, and the court sided against him. In October 2025, a federal judge in the Southern District of New York dismissed his case entirely. The judge ruled that Drake couldn't prove UMG acted with malice or that they knowingly distributed false information. Drake tried to appeal. It failed, and the message was very clear. Even the legal system wouldn't back him up. That's not just a loss. That's a statement. That's the moment you realize everyone's moved on, and you're still worried about this. Between late 2023 and May 2026, I'd say Drake's probably been pretty quiet compared to, the previous summers and the previous years. He didn't release a solo album. 2.5 years in hip hop, that's an eternity, bro. He did drop that one collab album with P&D, but guess what? Kendrick released GNX in November 2024. Trap whacked out Murals and Squabble Up earlier in 2025. And, we've seen other artists kind of emerge. I wouldn't say the underground's too active right now. Actually, let me stop capping, bro. If you watch Rolling Loud 26, man, them boys are up right now. That's really the new mainstream. But, again, Drake went pretty quiet. And when an artist at that level goes silent, it's usually because something's wrong. Whether it was the legal battles, the creative block, or just the psychological weight of losing to Kendrick, we'll never know. But the silence spoke a lot of volume. Flash forward to today, May 15th. Drake drops 3 albums at once. Not 1, not 2, but 3. He's trying to go for the 3 in 1. Iceman. I think that I looked earlier. I was listening. It has 18 tracks. It's the main project. And I think Habibti has a little under that, like 10, 11. I haven't got through these yet, and then Maid of Honor, I think it had like 15 tracks. But together, again, that's around 43, 44 songs. And he's throwing everything at the wall. And on these albums, he's swinging at everybody. On Dust, he mocks Kendrick's height, comparing him to Muggsy Bogues, the shortest player ever to dunk in the NBA. And he said Muggsy Bogues dunked for once. Even I'm a bit amazed. It's petty. It's personal. It's kind of subtle. But it's the move of a man who's desperate. That's all I gotta say. And on Make Them Pay, he goes at Khaled. He raps, and Khaled, you know what I mean. The beef was fully live. You went halal and got on your deen. And your people are still waiting for a free Palestine. Hey, that's fucked up, bro. Hey, that's fucked, bro. But apparently everything is in black and white and red and green. Yo, that's disrespectful, bro. He's essentially saying Khaled abandoned the beef and now he's calling him out for not speaking up about Palestine. Hey, but actually, let me take that back. Khaled, come on, bro. Well, let me not say anything because I'm not, this is not a political channel. Let me chill, bro. Drake's using his heritage against them, though. I'll make them remember he goes back to Kendrick. What was the year you said had slaps? Because I don't remember it going like that. I don't remember one word of your raps. He's literally saying he doesn't remember Kendrick having any hits, which he's a goofy. But we all remember, bro. We know what happened. No one's talking about these weak ass bars. Let me say that. He also disses J. Cole, though. Cole dropped 7-Minute Drill as a response to Kendrick in 2024, but then he backed away from the beef. Drake's upset about that. On Make Them Pay, he raps, How can you press the ignition and let some memories of the past affect the decision? I love you because of the history, but if we being real, I could never forgive you. And you never called me back, but destiny's written. And then he proceeds to say, fuck a big three anyway. There was too many chefs in the kitchen. It was a mess to begin with. Lastly, I wanted to bring up the most surprising, actually it's not that surprising. This was a big thing back when the beef was first happening with LeBron. He gets in on this album here. 1 a.m. in Albany, take a listen. He raps, I shouldn't even be shocked to see you in that arena because you always made your career off of switching teams up. Calling LeBron out for changing teams during his career. But here's the thing. LeBron sided with Kendrick during the beef, but, Drake's still salty. Here's what makes it tragic, though. The 3-album drop isn't a sign of strength in my eyes. It's a sign of panic. Artists drop 3 projects at once when they're desperate to prove relevance. That's quantity over quality. That's a scream into the void. And the fact that Drake is still talking about Kendrick on nearly every track shows that he's obsessed. Honestly, if Drake was gonna come like this, why couldn't he just announce like a huge mixtape? Anyways, I just think he can't let some of the shit that happened, like he can't let go of it. And I understand, but it's the big 26, folks. And, meanwhile, Kendrick released one album, GNX, November 2024, which I told y'all about earlier. It was a surprise drop, and it became one of the most streamed hip-hop albums in 2025. He didn't need 3 albums, bro. I don't know. I know they might go number 1, but still. The streaming numbers tell the story, man. In 2024, Drake's streams were down 50% compared to 23. 50%. His global on-demand streams dropped from 1.7 billion to around 800 million during comparable periods. That's not a small dip. That's a cultural shift. And even with this 3-album drop, analysts are skeptical that it'll reverse the trend. Drake might move numbers commercially, obviously. I'm not doubting him there. He's still Drake. He still has a massive fan base. But commercial success doesn't equal cultural relevance anymore. You could stream 1 million times and still be watched in the culture's eyes. Industry experts have been sounding the alarm, though. One music analyst said that the Kendrick battle absolutely dethroned Drake. She pointed out that before Kendrick, Drake was considered the leader of the pack in terms of sales and hit records. But after Kendrick, the narrative shifted. Let's say Iceman doesn't perform to certain standards. It will get harder and harder to see him as a viable artist, she said. Reputation and culture are things that cannot be quantified, and maybe he does do spectacular commercially, and that's great. I'm not gonna deny it, but that doesn't mean the music's good or has any lasting impact. And I think that's Drake's real fear. Not that he loses sales, but that he loses credibility. What happened to Drake is actually a perfect lesson in how fast things can change in hip-hop. One moment, you're untouchable. The next moment, one loss, one real loss, and suddenly everything cracks. Kendrick exposed him lyrically, strategically, and culturally. And Drake's been trying to recover ever since. The 3-album drop, the disses at everyone around him, the legal battles, the streaming decline, the 2.5-year silence. It's all just a desperate attempt to convince himself and the world that he still got it. But I don't think he does. And deep down, he knows that too. So where does Drake go from here? Honestly, it's unclear. And Iceman could be a commercial success, and I think it is. He's still going to be Drake, still has a cult fan base of millions, but commercial success could be moved hundreds of millions of streams and still seen washed, like I said earlier. And that's the scariest thing for an artist like Drake, because his entire empire was built on being culturally untouchable. Without that, he doesn't got the aura. He's just another rapper trying to stay relevant. And the question isn't whether he could come back commercially again. We know this. The question is whether he could come back culturally. Can he get everyone back on lock? And the desperate moves, the obsessive disses, it's just fucking corny, bro. I'm not sure he can if he keeps doing this little cycle. That's the story of Drake, though. From the peak of hip-hop dominance to desperately dropping 3 albums at once. Still thinking about Kendrick. Still trying to convince us he matters. And the most tragic part, he probably still has time to recover. But every move he makes right now, every corny diss, every album, every lawsuit, just digs the hole deeper. That's your downfall story, bro. Subscribe, like. I love you. Peace.
Oh God, Lionel. You have been hurt. You have been hurt by somebody. That much is clear. Who hurt you?